Thanks for being with us on Your Retirement TV. I'm Brad Johansson with Sam Duell, Andi Duell with Duell Financial Strategies. Your time's important. We appreciate your time, and we're glad that you're here with us. And time may be a good way for us to start on this because we're looking forward. For you and me, Sam, 2030 seems like it's going to be here like that. But here we go at 2030.
And it's going to be.
2030, roughly 10,000 baby boomers each day are going to hit retirement age, meaning millions of folks going to be retiring. It's 6.5 years here that we're getting to that point. There may be some who still feel comfortable about that. What does that number mean to you when we talk about that astounding number on a daily basis in 2030 of where we're going?
Well, the need to educate, for one. That's the reason why we spend so much time kind of in education mode at Duell Strategies, whether it's via the book, whether it's via the television, the radio, the public events, whatever it happens to be. And we think that there's an overwhelming need for education in the financial markets today because it's just not happening. So time being of the essence, we're trying to do as much of it as we can. But the other thing that you have to think about on that is that not only do we need to educate people, but we need to understand what pressures there are on the system. You know, they talk about this kind of gets intertwined, and it's a little bit off topic, but many people are alarmed to think that, well, in 2035, Social Security could be reduced by 30% to where I only get 70% of my promised benefits. Why is that? I've put all of this money in. Well, the reason why it is because of what you just cited, Brad, because there's 10,000 people that are going into retirement every day, and the vast majority of those people are starting to collect on Social Security. So Social Security is a pay-as-you-go system. There's less money coming in than there is money going out, and the problem is this amount, the money coming in, is going down because less and less and less people are working, while the pressure on the system is going up because there's more and more and more people retiring. So we're starting to get this, so now they have to go into the trust fund. So that's why time is so important when you're thinking about retiring. It's like, okay, how do I get around all of these different challenges that are out there? And where do I learn about these things without the sales pitch, with just saying, okay, it's an education. That's what it needs to be, because our philosophy is, look, people are smart. You didn't work for 35 or 40 years and save, $750,000 by being an idiot. It doesn't work that way. So if people can just get a reasonable education from people that are not consumed with some sort of a stupid sales process, it's helpful for people. And it helps you make a better decision as a consumer. So that's what, we are rabidly focused on that.
Well, you and I are on the tail end of that boomer thing.
We are.
Andy's out of that. So we go to Gen X.
She's not even in the firecracker generation.
If we go to Gen X, those are those who were born, for those of you who can't figure it, because I can never keep up with the generations either. 65 to 80 is your birth years. Oldest members of that now in their late 50s. Younger in their early 40s. Here's a survey that says only 17% of Gen X workers are very confident they're going to be able to fully retire with a comfortable lifestyle. If there's that much of a feeling, over 80%, is the fear justified, Andi?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think not only do we have the media that keeps hammering on those topics, but common sense will tell you that if there's 80 million baby boomers strong and they only had 30 million children, there's a deficit as far as people. And then you look at, well, how many of the 30 million are actually working? I mean, I saw a study the other day that was basically somewhere between 7.2 and 8 million people aged 25 to 40 that are not working.
Right.
They're just not working. They're not contributing to society. I have no idea how they're paying their bills. They are not working. So they are not putting money back into the system.
Which often goes overlooked, because this is different than we've ever seen in this economy.
It is.
If you talk to anybody in a business factor right now, they're going, golly, it's so hard for me to find somebody to work.
Yeah.
I mean, and people feel that all the time. You can go to restaurants, you can go to any business you want. They all have hiring signs on. I was at Panera the other day.
It's everywhere.
They have T-shirts now that are made that have logos on the back that said hiring, please apply. I mean, if you're going to spend the money to create T-shirts for your other employees to wear, there's a huge issue.
And that bottom line that you say is that if we're in this for any length of period of time, it isn't just businesses that are having a hard time getting people to work. We're talking about people who are putting money into a Social Security system that is failing at this point.
Yep. Well, and you think about what Andy's talking about, where we've got, let's call it 7 million people that basically young Gen Xers and younger that are just essentially refusing to work. Well, that means you're also not putting any money into a 401k. You're not only not putting any money into the societal system, you're not putting any money into your own personal system either. So we believe that there's going to be, I would say within the next 20 years, in the retirement generation, when the baby boom generation like us has basically, everybody is there, now we're going into the next, we find, because we're starting to see a lot of Gen Xers, we're starting to get a lot of people coming in that are in their latter 50s that are looking at retiring. The very front edge of the Gen X population have been good savers. And we find there are good 401k balances there. I think it's because maybe that part of it is that close to the baby boom generation.
There was a mindset that was still lingering.
That was still lingering. That has weakened and evaporated as we go deeper into the Gen X generation. And we find that many of the younger people that come in are the children of our clients that are coming in, right? That are Gen Xers. Sadly, we look at their 401k statements and they don't have any money. That they've been more focused on jet skis and more focused on vacations and more focused on this and more focused on that than they were on actually saving money. And so now they're sitting here and they're 50 years old and they've got $150,000 saved, and it's like, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, that goes to a number within this that will tell you that 54% of Gen Xers plan to work into retirement.
They're going to have to.
Because they don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice, and I don't know if they're thinking they're going to just hang around and wait for mom and dad's money or whatever the case is, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but when we're sitting, if you're a Gen Xer waiting for that, that pot of gold, I got bad news for you, because Sam and Andy are telling your mom and dad, spend the money. It's your money, spend the money. You're not working your entire life so your kids can retire.
And I think
you need to retire.
I think the other thing that's concerning for baby boomers right now is the next part of the equation of retirement is what is so costly in retirement? It's health insurance.
Yep.
It's health care.
Scared to death of it.
And so now you start getting into the piece of pie where it's like, this money needs to be here for you to be able to take care of yourself through the really expensive years, which is when 7 of 10 people are going to need some sort of assistance because they cannot get 2 of their activities of daily living. So they're going to be in some sort of skilled nursing facility, adult daycare, assisted living, something, right? But that, I sat down with some clients not long ago, and they were talking about her husband, who is great in his mind, but he's unable to walk anymore. He's unable to move. And so what does that cost him, or what does that cost them? And it's tremendous. It was, $10,000+ a month that are going to taking care of him when his
$120,000 a year.
Yes.
And that's the crazy thing, because it's not. We talk about 3 different phases of retirement. We talk about the first part of retirement, we call it the go-go years. You're going, you're spending, you're doing things. You will spend more money recreationally and on your own dreams and things.
Sure.
In that first 10 years. So we allow for that. The second 10 years of retirement is usually what we call the slow-go years, right? You're not spending as much money, but you've also reached the point in time then when those dreaded required minimum distributions on your retirement accounts have kicked in, so you got money that's being forced out to you. Then we hit that third stage of life called the no-go years, and that's the expensive part. That's when the fear is there. It's saying, okay, what if we have a $10,000 a month obligation for that? Well, hey, I've saved $1 million. Well, when you're burning it up $120,000 a year at a time, it doesn't last very long.
And if that's only one person and you're married, then
what happens?
The likelihood is that the woman is going to need care more than the man or longer than the man because she's likely to outlive him.
Yeah.
So
And we're all living longer.
Yes.
So we're saying if you're a Gen Xer, I don't know that I would be planning my retirement on getting mom and dad's money, because the statistical probability that one of your parents is going to spend a disproportionate amount of their retirement savings, unless they have long-term care insurance or something like that, but they're probably going to spend a disproportionate amount of their retirement savings on their own care in the latter stages of their life.
So much more to talk about. And we have the book on the set. I want to talk more about the book when we come back, because this book is yours. Come on in. Get a free copy of that. Why would you come on in? Because there's a free visit for you to talk about what you can do in the later years, the go-go and beyond. And there's a plan that we can put together for you to make those years a lot easier so that you can go just like you want to, with purpose. 866-203-7486. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to be on your team in your retirement. Be right back.
We get to be the face, we get to be the voice, we get to be the public, the public persona of Duell Financial Strategies, but we believe very much in taking care of the people that take care of us. I think a company has to live its mission statement, and I think it's a constantly evolving thing with a progressive company. I see companies do that, and a lot of times it's just nothing more than a bunch of empty words that someone has come up with in marketing that sounded really good.
from a mission standpoint, I guess it's just to be as efficient as we can with helping people and creating solid financial plans for them. We have wonderful people that are working for us now, and I appreciate all of them. They do make our lives easier.
Behind myself and Andy and Luke and Lake, the advisors, there's a team that sits behind them that makes it possible for us to do every day what we do. It's like we just happen to be the ones that are sitting in front of a camera right now, but they're the ones that actually do the hard work. We want people in a position in our office that they enjoy what they're doing, that they can excel at what they're doing, that they can really achieve their own personal goals in what they're doing and do what they do best and kind of leave them alone. They're a pretty good company to work for, I think.
Welcome back to Your Retirement TV. Always happy to have you with us. Brad Johansson along with Sam and Andy. We talked about the book. Fill us in a little bit on the book, Sam.
It was just written to be educational.
It's just a thing.
Yeah, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. The crazy thing about it is I don't think about it. It's just something that I did. And people are like, "Oh, you wrote a book." Like, yeah.
Started this during the pandemic time when visits were slow and you had some more time to put some answers to questions people had.
Yeah. Basically what I did with this book, there's no great secret behind it. What I did with this book is we do a lot of public speaking events. I do one specifically on the 4 stages of taxes before and during retirement. Lake, one of the advisors, he does one on the retirement puzzle. And then Luke, the lead advisor, he actually does a 2-night event where you go to his event over a course of a full week. There's 2 separate nights, and he's probably educating for a couple of hours every night, and he goes over every topic imaginable when he is doing that class. I essentially took that class that we had originally put together and I encapsulated it into this book because I needed a way to reach people to say, just because we're not going out into society right now, the financial industry was considered an essential business, so we never missed a stroke. We were never closed a day. But I also took some time to write this book to say, okay, for those of you who are not able to come in, those of you who are not able to do this right now, let me give you this book. Because sit down, read the book, absorb the book, and then you will have the exact same experience by reading the book as you would have had if you'd have came to a 2-night class. So that was what birthed it, and it seems like it's just kind of taken on a life of its own from there. We'd
like it to be in your hands. We're talking about some of the questions that come out of the Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies annual survey, and we have talked about boomers and Gen Xers. I want to go through some of the numbers. Again, 41% of baby boomers expect that Social Security, and these are workers, will be their primary source for retirement income. What's the danger there?
It's not enough.
As we know already.
Yeah, I mean, you go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, you go anywhere, and it's not enough. So I think that's a huge challenge that we have to overcome is how, back to that puzzle, how do we juggle? How do we put this together so that inflation doesn't cause as much strife for you as it could if it's not taken care of, and if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a way of combating some of this stuff. Hopefully it'll be short term.
But it's a common belief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People believe I'm supposed to work, be done working, whatever I got from work and put into my 401k. Now I'm done. I'm good. Social Security will take care of me. I mean, it's common belief.
It's common belief, and interestingly enough, the only instance that I would probably point to where the federal government has done something that they were actually honest about up front, Social Security was never meant to be the end-all, be-all. From its very beginning, that's not what Social Security was designed for.
But that's what was sold to us.
That's why it's called supplemental Social Security. That's the reason for it. When Social Security was invented originally, it was designed to augment, to supplement, because at that point in time, historically, you still had a pension. So most people, what they would do is they would retire about 62 to 65 years old. They had Social Security and they had their pension. Their pension and their Social Security, for the vast majority of people, equaled what their paycheck was, Brad. So essentially, they just traded one income source, the employer, for two income sources, the employer's pension, and 401ks didn't even exist. There was no such thing as a savings retirement plan. The pension was it. But when they found out that companies could dispense from having pensions, because pensions are very expensive for a company to maintain, they're a drain on their balance sheet because it's shown as a liability against their assets, they were all too happy to get rid of pensions. The companies were going, yay, this obligation's off of our shoulders. We're going to put it onto your shoulders.
Yeah.
That's how it all started. So people, and I don't know where this came from. They all of a sudden started thinking, well, Social Security is my source of income. No, it's not. For most people, Social Security only covers between 30 and 40% of their income needs. Where's the other 50 to 60% going to come from? 70%. Well, it's going to have to come from you. You are your own pension plan now. You are the one that's going to need to decide how are your monthly payments going to be structured. Ad nauseum, that's why we talk about a plan. It's like it used to be your employer had a plan for you called your defined benefit pension plan. You are now your own pension provider. It's on your balance sheet. It's on your priority list to be able to do that. So if you're not working with an advisory firm that knows and understands that knows and understands the tax consequences, that knows and understands how the world of income works, you're at a distinct disadvantage going into retirement right away.
Guess what? I got a number for you on that statement.
Okay.
11% of both Gen X and baby boomers base their estimate on an amount given to them by a financial advisor. That means 89% are trying to figure it out on their own.
And I guess I would just, good luck. It's hard. It's hard.
Because there are a lot of people who want to do it yourself. A lot of DIY folks and say, I've got it, I want to do it. Oh, okay, you shake your head. Am I wrong on that?
I don't know that they want to do it themselves.
Yes.
I've seen people that are good do-it-yourselfers are better than any financial advisor on the face of the planet. You just have to be willing to commit yourself to the work. You have to be willing to commit yourself to the same level of study, the same level of work, the same level of knowledge, intake as we do every day. And
hard to do.
It's hard to do, and most people don't have a lot of interest in it. I mean, let's be blunt about this. Knowing and understand taxes is like watching paint dry. It's not like it's real cutting edge stuff. There's only a few, weirdos like me that look at that and go, that is absolutely fascinating how that works. How can I work within that system to everybody's best interest? Most people could care less about that. So, and I appreciate it because otherwise I wouldn't have a job. But you have to be completely dedicated to it. If you're going to be a do-it-yourselfer, you have to be totally dedicated to the art of it, because think about it. Just take a little mental trip, close your eyes, and think about what we've seen over the last 20 months. From now until 20 months ago. Oh, the changes that we've seen in society, the changes that we've seen economically, the change that we've seen from a worldview. Just 180 degrees different in a lot of ways. So unless you will commit yourself to knowing and understanding that, studying legislature, studying all those different things, you could find yourself with a bad surprise. And the problem with bad surprises, Brad, is in retirement, they usually come too late.
Feels like a test.
Too late.
Would you like the answers to the test? The answers to the test are in the book, and it's yours free for coming in for an appointment. Oh yeah, how much does that cost me? It's free as well, and a complimentary plan. Don't be part of that 11% who are getting their advice just from the advisor. Don't be the 89%. You want to be the people who are coming in and getting a plan to answer your why, to find purpose. 866-203-7486. We want to help. That's what we're here for. Your retirement. Be right back.
I think a company has to live its mission statement, and I think it's a constantly evolving thing with a progressive company. When it came to managing 401ks, I was able to see what the big box industry did with and to consumers. Actually, the very first chapter of my book, Purpose Determines Placement, I talk about a gentleman that was in a meeting among a whole group of us that was right at the edge of retirement, just getting ready to retire, but there was also people in the room that were in their 20s. And what I noticed was a representative from the company, when anybody would ask a question, it didn't matter what age you were or what stage you were in as far as retirement was concerned, the answers were all the same. It didn't make any sense. Like, how could the advice for a 22-year-old be the same as the advice for a 62-year-old? That's what inspired me, was a 62-year-old gentleman that was nearing retirement that I didn't think was probably going to get the right kind of advice unless he was talking to somebody that really was thinking about what his long-term best interests were. So I started Duell Financial Strategies, I think 2000 was when I originally started, 2000 or 2001, and just took a look at the industry and literally decided that we were going to do everything 180 degrees polar opposite than what we saw our competition doing, than what we saw the generic big box brokers doing. When Andi and I met, well, it had been 9 or 10 years after I'd started the company. And she had her practice in California. And originally, interestingly enough, we had thought we would probably combine companies and end up spending most of our time in California. But she really kind of fell in love with the whole Midwest attitude. We love the people that are here. Everybody is genuine, they're real. They live the way we live.
Happy you're with us on Your Retirement TV. We love that you pay attention, that you watch, that you listen. On TV and on radio, and some of those who are walking by and walking into the office, you have questions. Sometimes you're afraid to ask them. We have folks that have asked them. Can we go to a few of the questions of people that have asked you?
Yeah, it's a great, it's a popular segment on our radio. I don't know why we don't do it more often on TV.
I'm going to jump in now and begin with Peggy, who says that I'm 4 years away from retirement. She's in a big group. Already have enough income for retirement. Okay, I have a year's worth of expenses in my checking account. Is there a certain balance that I should be keeping in my checking account when my retirement accounts are set? For Peggy?
That's a great question. Congratulations, first of all. It sounds like you're in a great position, Peggy. You're ready to roll. I often use the phrase with people that are in your position is that basically you're driving the bus at this point in time. You get to make the decision when you're going to pull the bus off to the side of the road and get off of it. So specific balance, not really. It's one of those times where you kind of have to gauge what's the value of the money that's sitting on the side for an emergency account or for a cash account. Not so many months and years ago, there was really no value to keeping money in the bank because they weren't paying you anything for it. Well, now I would probably tell you, if you've got a year's worth of living expenses, that's plenty. I don't think you need any more than that. As long as you keep your retirement income liquid going into retirement, you could probably even take some of that. And if you're that far out from retirement, I might even be deploying some of that cash into short-term instruments like, maybe you go find a good 9-month CD or something like that, put it into there. But we do recommend to people that in a short period of time, I would say the last 12 to 18 months, there's 2 accounts that we really recommend people start funding as heavily as they possibly can. Number one's that cash account.
Okay.
Because we want to have some sort of a buffer. It's like for people that are going to initiate a pension when you get ready to retire. Well, it's not uncommon at all for it to be 90 days, sometimes 120 days for you to get that first pension payment. So we need some sort of a buffer in there, Brad. We got to have a buffer in there for income. And then secondly, we recommend for people that qualify for an HSA account, for a health savings account, if you have a high deductible health insurance plan. Remember, the number one concern for the vast majority of you coming in to visit with us is how am I going to pay for health insurance? Well, if you start building that health insurance, that HSA bucket, before retirement, call it 18 months, in a lot of cases, I'm not even opposed to seeing you cut back on your contributions to your 401k, maybe even back to the point where you're just getting the company match. Take that excess money, roll that into an HSA account if you qualify for that. As long as it's portable and you get to carry it with you, I promise you, you will use that money down the road at some point for health expenses. And an HSA account, unlike anything else, it's a wonderful tax-free instrument. So cash and HSA, especially coming close into retirement, nothing wrong with having those types of balances be very high.
All right. Well, you mentioned 401k, so I'll go to Gail, who says that I've got a 401k with a company, retired from this year. Can I convert those funds to my Roth IRA? I don't want to convert all the funds because the tax bill is going to be too much. Can I convert just part of the funds to my Roth IRA, then roll the rest of the 401k funds to a traditional IRA? Probably our last chance to answer a question. This is Gail.
Okay. Well, Gail, my thoughts about that initially would be your company plan will probably not allow you to make multiple withdrawals out of that account. So you might have to pick it up, move it over to an IRA, and then from there you could still do Roth contributions if you wanted to. Conversions. And I agree with you as far as a lot of people are sold, oh, you have to do a Roth conversion, or you really need to do a Roth conversion, and they'll take it out of your 401k money, or they'll take it out of your IRA money to pay the taxes. And so it really needs to be planned with a calculator. So be careful of that, because you don't want to roll too much and set yourself up to be in a higher tax bracket than you actually need to be.
And you also want to make sure that when you're doing that Roth conversion, we do not believe that you should do a Roth conversion and have the taxes withdrawn from the conversion. Because think about that. If you're doing a $30,000 conversion and you have 20% in total taxes removed, what would that be? $6,000. So basically, you're only converting $24,000 into a tax-free income stream. You've put yourself down at a deficit to say that, well, if I deduct 20% from this balance, I've got to make about 24% in growth just to get myself back to even. Moral of the story is, kind of comes back to the question we had before, well, how much do I want to have in cash? If you're going to start doing Roth conversions, you need to have that money for that conversion to pay those taxes in cash, because you do not want to take it out of the conversion. It's like, you know, the old saying, I remember my parents saying, it's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. Like, yeah, you got to pay the taxes at some point in time, but why would you take the taxes out in something that's going to be tax-free later on? Just think about it. A lot of this stuff is common sense, and for whatever reason, it just never gets discussed in that manner.
So many of these questions are answered within the book that Sam has penned, Purpose Determines Placement. And you say, well, I'd like some of my questions answered. Okay, here's the book. The book is free. If you come in for an appointment, well, the appointment is free as well. And what happens during that appointment, there's a complimentary plan to try and figure all of this out. So many complicated questions that you may have. We'll try and cover all of them here, but it's so much better done in person because everybody is different. Let's make your plan individualized. Let's make it work for you. Let's find your purpose. Thanks for being with us today. Call the number on your screen. Help us help you in your retirement. We'll see you next time.